What role has Los Angeles played in the evolution of your practice?
The culture of making stuff from kind of aerospace grade to disposable Hollywood set grade is really interesting here, where I think most places around the world there's a much more precious attitude towards construction.
Is there any influence or any relevance in your work that comes from Italy?
It used to be in Italy, there was like the technical knowledge, labor wasn't incredibly expensive, and there was incredible skill. I think now, when I think of Italy, I think more of Permastelisa, the mega yacht building industry, and more in terms of technology rather than labor.
Having worked on multidisciplinary projects differing in scale from silverware to boats to architecture, how does the design process change for you when approaching different design problems associated with these different project types?
All those things, I'll always look at some historic examples and try to see what the problems were that were trying to be solved in those, and then try to redefine what that problem would be or rethink what would happen. So, I'm not a person that likes to refine things on a project. I'm more interested in redefining the problem for every new project. For the boats, in general, the way they've been thought is that naval architects think about the design from the deck down in terms of how things move through the water and how much volume there is for function. And then everything above the deck is like a little house. They call it a cabin. So it's literally like a little hut that they put on top of it. And so it's always been thought that way, that there's the deck is the ground and the hut is the cabin top. So for all these, I've been trying to find a way to treat the cabin not as a little house, but as part of the surfacing of the hulls and the deck. I think using bolts and mechanical connections and nails and all that stuff is incredibly antiquated in the building industry. For certain things, yeah. You're going to have to use mechanical attachments, but for things at the scale of a small building, there's so much glue and foam and insulation and all that stuff that it seems like we could learn something from these industries where they've eliminated all that stuff and they put wood, fiber, fabrics, metals, all into a bag and bake it. And you get something that's very strong. And when they need to connect, say this hull to this bridge deck, they do it with glue.
But do you consider that as craftsmanship or construction?
Craftsmanship. Yeah, just how they approach construction and manufacturing. It's very simple, but you can move it right into architecture real easily.
Having been influenced by a variety of disciplines from animation to the automotive industry, can you discuss your views on why collaboration between disciplines is so important to the field of architecture?
Sure. Well, I think the big thing for me, looking to the entertainment industry, was to get tools that would be useful for design. But what happened while I was doing that is I found out that the entertainment industry thinks about the audience, let's say, or thinks about how somebody's going to be experiencing their design before they even start designing. That's really changed the way I've thought about design, because that kind of impact on somebody is really maybe more interesting than the whole historical discussion.